Hi, I'm the Shot Doctor, and welcome to the Shot Doctor visit to the doctor's office. That's right, I'm Dwayne Everett, and we're getting ready to go into a great Final Four weekend. Happy Easter, everybody. It's Good Friday, and I am so excited about this weekend. This weekend sports has just been a great start to a Final Four weekend. Let's get into it and let's get down and dirty right now. That's right, because we've got games on top of games this weekend to finally decide the champions of the women's basketball and men's basketball NCAA Final Four weekend. And starting tonight, we've got to talk about the women's matchup. All number one seeds, they made it to the summit. That's right. And tonight, starting out at 7 o'clock, we get a nice matchup for Mississippi State and Louisville. Vic Schaefer's got his team back in the same spot they were a year ago when they made the historical upset of UConn to go on, unfortunately, to lose to the University of South Carolina. Their only other loss since that was to the University of South Carolina in the SEC tournament, which they have since redeemed themselves, and they are now back in the Final Four. Louisville, trying to scratch the surface and get to the championship game, has also had a storied season. So that starts out the weekend in championship form. Two great teams, two teams with a tremendous amount of talent. You don't want to miss that game. Those games will be aired on ESPN2. Don't miss those games. And then at 9 o'clock, it's, of course, Gino Ariamo against Muffin McGraw. And I'm going to tell you, that matchup of Notre Dame and, of course, when we're talking about UConn, we're talking about a team that just has 6 players that they play in rotation, that their energy level just runs, and at no time do they take a play off. You've got to make plays because they're not going to give them to you. They're going to take them away. You've got to go, and you've got to go hard. Last year, Mississippi State showed a formula of matching energy to energy, possession to possession. They came away with a win. Notre Dame and McGraw, coach of the year, I should say, she has had the formula in the past. If anybody has shown the opportunity to do it against this team, it is Notre Dame. So that game will be another fight to the finish. I don't expect UConn to have, the ease of which they have kind of walked through the playoffs to this point. I expect the postseason to all of a sudden get a little tighter now with all the number one seeds in the matchup. Should be 2 great ball games, but then it's tomorrow that we start to look at the Cinderella story. That's right. Loyola of Chicago, they have reached the pinnacle. Only 4 teams at an 11 seed have ever gotten there. None have ever been able to get past the semifinals. The highest seed to ever, and I should say lowest seed, to ever get to a finals and win it, number 8, 1982, the Villanova Wildcats under Raleigh Massimino. So this would be another breakthrough. We've already seen many milestones broken in the men's game where we've seen more losses of top 10 and top 5 teams in a single season this year. And we finally had a breakthrough of a 16 beating a 1 with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, as we watch them take out the overall number 1 seed, Virginia. A historical event. Is this the year that also a number 11 can break the barrier to become the lowest seed to ever win a national title? A team that in 1963 did win the national title long before there were seedings and the field of 64 at this level. So we're looking for a tremendous matchup. The first game matchup of the Loyola Chicago Michigan game is at 6:09 scheduled tip-off. Should be a great ball game, followed by an 8:49 tip-off game tomorrow with the two number one seeds that are remaining in this tournament, and that is the two storied programs, Villanova and Kansas. That should be also a Titan affair. I'm expecting some great things in both of those ball games. I think when you look at it, the quadrant of Final Four teams should be a tremendous matchup. It will be very exciting. But the thing about this is it comes right on the heels of a great Major League Baseball opening day. What a start. 33 home runs, 14 games, the first pitch of the entire season. The Cubs, Ian Happ, he goes yard on the first pitch to open the season, setting off a home run fest that now the question is out there, will there be a guy that will go over 60 home runs? Yes, there will be. I'm thinking, as a shot doctor, I'm thinking there will be two and maybe 3 or 4 flirting in the high 40s and 50s. This is going to be a hot year. Is it global warming? Is it juice in the ball? Is it juice in the system? Is it just that these guys are just that much better? Major League Baseball may be bringing some summer excitement with a home run fest. I think if it's going to bring Major League Baseball back, it's going to be, as a viewer standpoint and from an interest standpoint, it's going to be with the long ball. And 33 home runs in 14 initial games to start the season, that is a great start to what could be great. To give you an idea, Giancarlo, how do you pronounce his name again? Giancarlo Stanton, that's right. He went yard twice for the Yankees as they took out a Blue Jays squad, 6-1, I believe that game was. And by the way, the Cubs did win against the Marlins in that Ian Happ historical start to the season. They won that game 8-4. But anyway, it's been a great start. The golfers, they're in Houston tuning up for next week's Masters. And that has some very, very, very broad personalities in the world of golf playing in it. Mickelson at one time was at 6 under. I believe he dropped back to about 4. But Mickelson still showing what he's got and preparing for the Masters. We've got some great golfers out there tuning up in Houston, getting ready for next week. And to give you a little schedule on the Masters next week, the par 3 is on ESPN at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Don't miss that. That's always an exciting event to watch. It's a chance to watch the players let their hair down, introduce some of their family members, little kids are out there. But there's never been a winner of the par 3 to win the Masters, by the way, just to give you a little bit of nostalgia and history. And so winning that has been a jinx to anyone, but it's a great entertaining event. It's a great open access event for the fans, to the players, and for them letting their hair down and things of that magnitude. So it turns out to be a really great start to the event before the players get really focused and they start to disconnect from the fan base and get really connected to the first major of the season, as many are trying to win their first major while others are trying to either repeat and or extend themselves in the world rankings. So, the Masters becomes a total focus next week in the post-Easter weekend. However, the NBA getting close. Average across the board, 4 to 5 games remaining on most people's schedules. A lot of dynamics are taking place. We saw last night Kevin Durant coming back to the Warriors after 6 games out on the injury list. He gets into the second quarter, gets into a verbal exchange with an official over a missed call on a foul. I agree with him. He was fouled, but he's been in plays where he's fouled people and gotten away with it. I mean, no reason to go the level that early in the ball game to set the tone. He picked up 2 quick technicals, tossed out of the ball game. 5th ejection of the season. I don't think up to his career leading into the season, he only had 2 ejections in his entire career. He has 5 this year. And so, again, I don't know if it's a mental game. I don't know if there's a stress or if it's just that ego has reached a level. I know the officials in the league and the players seem to have a real battle this year. I know there's been a challenge about inconsistency, but there's been a lot of inconsistency in the league. But either way, I think the players are going to have to tone it down and play basketball. The league is a physical league, and trying to equivocate, fouls on their end, but then don't want them called on them on the other end. They've got to get past that and play through the hits, let the officials do their job, but let their athleticism and their performance carry out, especially early in ball games where those plays should not decide the outcome of the game. In that particular game, they went down 116 to 107 to the Bucks. And a lot of it had to do with being shorthanded and, of course, not having him in the ball game. Later in the ball game, they lost Andre Iguodala to a sore knee, just shorthanded. And that can't be something they carry into the playoffs. They're already playing with a gimped up and non-playing Steph Curry right now. Thompson is out right now. And, of course, with Durant not being in the roster and now having Iguodala in that capacity, this could be a challenge for them, because to beat Houston, you better be full strength. And then you look around the league, all the other injuries that are starting to mount up for these players in key situations. Joel Embiid, now needing surgery to that orbital fracture he sustained 2 days ago, is going to be out for an undetermined amount of time. That may kill the promise, the process, and of course what has much been awaited by that fan base is for this team to get in the playoffs and make a difference. This could be a real challenge for them now, because without Joel Embiid, their prospects of getting into the playoffs and carrying it forward beyond the first round starts to diminish. Right now, they look like the sleeper coming in the way they were playing with Embiid. All of that seems to change. Boston, prior to the halfway point of the season, looked like the team to beat. Since the All-Star break, it's been Toronto on the East. Cleveland, of course, they've got the strongest on the planet. That's right, LeBron James. But they have had some injuries of late. They've gotten Kevin Love back. They still haven't gotten any continuity on the defensive side. They've been outscoring teams to win ball games. The games that they have lost have been just because they didn't score enough. With Kevin Love back in the lineup, it seems like things are working. Of course, LeBron James is playing Iron Man basketball. He's the greatest on the planet. He's that guy. That's right. Who's that guy? It's LeBron James. But can he sustain that in 7-game series? His basketball IQ seems to be strong enough, to challenge in series. But will the other players rally behind him and show the same level of consistency? Can they be healthy? Because at the end of the day, whoever comes out of the East better be healthy to beat the Warriors if they get to the finals. But right now, the team to beat is Houston. James Harden, MVP year. I don't care what LeBron has to say. Yes, you are great. You're having one of the best years. You're carrying your team. But there have been times you haven't carried your team. You haven't brought them up to a level. This Houston team right now plays its best basketball when Harden is in the game. But this team is so great. And the criteria that has gotten people into that championship realm, has been applied to the MVP. And let's face it, Harden was probably short of a historic year by Russell Westbrook. He had a better season last year, so he should have been MVP then. So, yes, James Harden is our MVP. There's no question. Not this year. Unfortunately, LeBron, you should be the number 2 pick in that voting, but it should come down to James Harden. And, I'm not one to cast, a lot of conspiracy over anything, because I think every year they have done right by except one thing, and that's the unanimous choice on Steph Curry. That'll be for another day and another night. This is the Shot Doctor, and I'm here to tell you, over the weekend, we'll be breaking down some games for you. At halftime, we'll give you shorter podcasts and putting them out in social media. We hope you give us some solid comments and your thoughts on those games that we're watching. This is going to be a great weekend, and this is the weekend of champions for sure, with the Final Four going on. Thanks. I'm the Shot Doctor. It's ESPN Radio. It's ESPN, a visit to the doctor's office.
this